Hello everybody, this is TV1 back again with a review. This is my review classic editions, and I decided to go on and do these thanks to the network sort of persuading me on to do these, because come on, the network offers so much old vault, and of course this is from the in-ring section of the network where you can go back and relive old Monday Night Raw episodes. And as you can see from this little logo here, it was the old classic Monday Night Raw. In fact, the very first episode of Monday Night Raw, which you can relive on the website and also of course on the network, which is a lot better anyway. No ads or anything like that. It's a great show anyway. Let's go in and talk about the very first episode, where it all really began for one of the most successful shows of all time. Absolutely, it's recently celebrated 20 years. It's been on for about 22 years, believe it or not, and hardly any interruptions. Of course, there was a slight interruption on one episode. There was the famous episode back in January of 2015, this year, when the show was actually cancelled, of course, because of bad weather conditions, and it was just a little bit of a Royal Rumble repeat, and then just some interviews with the commentators at Monday Night Raw headquarters. But anyway, so I said I was going to do like new Monday Night Raw reviews, but I'm going to go back. I might do this, but I'm definitely going to go back and do these network reviews because they're on the network, and so we can do them pretty easily. And yeah, I'm just going to go back and do these old classic editions leading up to, of course, the pay-per-views major pay-per-views in 1993, and this is for the year I'm going to be focusing on. The next pay-per-view obviously being Royal Rumble, the first one of the year, and we're going to go through and hopefully go through the year and see how long it takes in my classic reviews section. Okay, so this first episode of Monday Night Raw, getting straight to it, was back in January 11th, 1993. Just starting off 1993, of course, it was in the Manhattan Center, quite a small arena in New York City, New York. And yeah, it was quite small, but it was a theater. It scored 2.5 rating, just a little bit of history, and it was aired live on the USA Network from the Grand Ballroom. And it was taped, so it wasn't actually live, but it was sort of put in the section of uncut and uncensored. So it's sort of a new phase for WWE when they came to this. Of course, it was still in the New Generation era, so it was aimed at kids, but you can see this throughout this they sort of aimed at kids, but they were taking a new direction with their content and how they're giving it to the audience. And of course, they had other shows at the time. I think WWF Mania was advertising this. Also Superstars, and yeah, those two shows were also on running weekly, I think. Both aimed at kids, really. You could tell from the ads, especially Mania, which is on a Saturday morning back in the day. Okay, so I'm going to go in and talk about this episode. Right, so a sort of little storyline going into this. So we got Randy Savage, someone else, and Vince McMahon on commentating, and basically Bobby the Brain Heenan wants to get in. A backstage interviewer, Sean Mooney, is just being the gatekeeper and stopping him from getting in, but he's determined to get into the debut episodes and see what's going on and just interrupt it or whatever. But again, Rob Bartlett was also a sort of commentator on this as well. Bobby Heenan tries to get in, but actually eventually doesn't until the show is all over, so that sort of thing outside the ring, whatever. Bobby Heenan's pretty cool, so it's funny. Yeah, just a little bit of comedy relief there. Anyway, into the matches on the show. Our very first match on Monday Night Raw, introduced to us, was between... I can't remember. Sorry, it was between Coco Beware and the one and only Yokozuna, this massive giant who was definitely built up by the commentators. They're making jokes about his size, but again, you could see definitely how it worked in the ring. Very fluent. His moves worked pretty well, and Coco Beware was trying his best, but of course, it was my favourite matches. Probably one of my favourite match of the night, really, because it was just funny to see Yokozuna just completely dominate here. Hit a leg drop one time, and of course got that bonsai drop, which it wasn't called a bonsai drop at the time, I'm pretty sure. But again, Yokozuna going strong, and I believe he will be at the Royal Rumble. I'm going to go in and see. This is my first time watching all these, but Royal Rumble 1993, we'll see how he does on that. and he probably is going in very strong. Next week we'll see what happens to him. He might be on the show next week, I hope. But yeah, definitely going in very nice indeed. I love that finisher. Okay, after this we have a little bit of a interview on behalf of. I'm sorry. Before that, we get to talk about Royal Rumble news. So there's been a bit, of course, there's the promotions for the Royal Rumble. We see 30 men, and obviously there's going to be some other matches. The main event being that WWF Championship match between Bret Hart, the current reigning champion, and Razor Ramon. So we're going to see Razor Ramon come out and talk for a few minutes with Vince McMahon, which is going to be pretty interesting. Obviously, he went over to WCW, sorry. But anyway, at this time, New Generation, Razor Ramon was one of the headlining people alongside like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and those three were pretty famous. So this is going to be a major match at Royal Rumble. Anyway, before that, we got our second match of the night, which is between the Steiner brothers and I believe the Executioners. The Executioners, very hokey gimmick. These guys wore big jumpers and black coats, and it was just very weird. But anyway, they took on the Steiner brothers, who were very impressive. They were from this whole lineage of the Steiners, of course, and they had some weird outfits. I mean, they're very memorable. They were like the amateur college wrestling sort of outfits. And so yeah, they pretty dominated in this match. There's a theme going through this whole show. One match just getting the other team or member of the match just dominating pretty much. I mean, let the other person just jobbing really to them to make them look strong going into, of course, Royal Rumble season. Steiner brothers definitely worked well, and you can tell at the time that Raw were definitely going with this whole should I say more kid approach, because these Steiner brothers are definitely like that. They got a crowd on their side really, and they were strong, and they worked well as a team. Of course they did. You had Rick and the other guy. Yes, their fluid moves, suplexes, and then of course they did yak their suplexes definitely. And of course they finally go into a flying bulldog. One guy gets up on his shoulders, and then Rick Steiner goes for the bull, jumps off the top rope into the bulldog on the guy's head, smashes him down. The other guy gets the cover, 1, 2, 3, and it's over. The Steiners win that match. You also see Doink the Clown appear outside the ring. I don't know what he was doing there really. He was just being annoying, just messing around. And of course he was sort of a heel at the time, I think. Pretty sure, because the kids didn't like him and were scared because it's a clown. Come on. Our third match was an interesting one. It was before this we got Razor Ramon, of course, doing an interview, and he basically mentioned that it took him 8.5 months to get to the top, and he wants to beat Bret Hart, who took 8.5 years to get the WWE Championship, and this will be his time to get the WWE Championship, and he's just determined to do it, yeah, he is a very good character, very memorable quote, Chico, coming for you. No, don't do that again, Tim. Don't do that again, TV1. But again, yeah, very interesting, and very good character, and it was it was one of the great New Generation characters, and WWE brought him up good, and of course he had the look, and he was a great wrestler really. Well, I haven't seen him wrestle yet on Raw, so he might be on next week or something like that. But of course, he's getting ready for a very major match. He'll be headlining the whole of WWE. He's one of the biggest headliners at this time. You think of the New Generation, you sort of think of Razor Ramon going up against Bret Hart again here at WWE Royal Rumble in the main event. Right, so he talks about Vince McMahon saying that it's going to take him a lot quicker time, and he's just going to beat Bret Hart really. And of course he attacked Owen Hart. Really doesn't really cover why he did that. I mean, of course he's going for this very different attitude and perspective, and Bret Hart is obviously the crowd's favourite, and then we got this. He's a nice heel really. Razor Ramon, one of the best heels in my opinion. He plays it very, very well and tries to avoid the questions of why he bet up Owen Hart really. He just did it because he did it, and he said that Bret Hart won't be able to stop him. I mean, it's not that he doesn't want to stop him, it's that he can't. Okay, so yeah, pretty cool on Razor's behalf. Our third match of the night was between Shawn Michaels, the Intercontinental Champion, and Max Moon, that's it. Max Moon, whoa, this is just the weirdest outfit ever, and I don't even know if it was any really good at wrestling. But Max Moon, my first impression is such a stupid gimmick, really, if you think about it. He's wearing the most stupid costume of all time, and you know he's going to lose, you know he's a jobber really here. Obviously a failed gimmick in my opinion. Just there on the opening episode, I was surprised that really he was on the opening episode of Monday Night Raw, the first ever episode. But Max Moon gets jobs again here against Shawn Michaels. He starts off strong for about a minute, but then of course Shawn Michaels goes into Shawn Michaels mode. Max Moon does get a few high-flying moves and spots on Shawn Michaels, surprisingly. But of course, Shawn Michaels, he's got a really weird song too, if you note it. Note at the start and the end of his match, Shawn Michaels wins, of course, and retains his Intercontinental Championship match. Surprisingly, this is some reason this is an Intercontinental Championship match anyway. But the song that Shawn Michaels has before his match is the most hokey, stupid cover of, well, it's not even his real thing, but Shawn Michaels has this, it's just different from the one he usually has, and it sounds really, really weird. Yeah, it's actual women in this one, but it sounds really, really weird. Okay, yeah, so Shawn Michaels actually going on to Royal Rumble, where he'd be a very exciting match, defending his Intercontinental Championship against Marty Jannetty. We all knew that he would obviously defend against Max Moon, but Marty Jannetty, his former tag team partner, and definitely an interesting one there between the two. A lot of tension there, and a pretty good feud actually will envelop between those two. Okay, so yeah, of course, after that we got a few more promos. Of course, that Royal Rumble promo before the main event, which is a very short and uneventful main event, really. We got a lot of talking between commentators, obviously looking over the Royal Rumble event, talking about some superstars that will be competing, the likes of Tatanka, Mr. Perfect making a little promo as well on behalf of a guy he's going to face called Narcissus. Very funny there. Who else do we get? We get of course Undertaker, I think, might be there, and some other people that I can't remember. They're pretty kind of unforgettable gimmicks. And then there was like the head bangers or something like that. But there was a lot of people in this main event. The Royal Rumble match, indeed. And of course, who else? Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ric Flair obviously was there. That's a very exciting one. But again, yeah, Royal Rumble 1993. I haven't seen it, so I'm going to be excited to see that Royal Rumble on the network. Right, who was next? Well, after all that sort of promo, we got also a bit of Kamala on a show, WWE Superstars. I don't even think that's on the network, but I hope they add it, because it was weekly shows that they had at the time. And it seems like a pretty good thing. Anyway, Kamala was on that, and developing some sort of feud with somebody. I can't remember indeed who it was, but it was probably manager or something. Anyway, into our fourth match and final match, the main event of the night, in between a few bits of Bobby Heenan trying to get in, dressing up in different costumes, and again being denied the chance of getting inside, to sort of hijack the first ever show on Monday Night Raw. That was sort of the idea. He wasn't even a commentator on this, so he's working as a heel here, of course. The classic Bobby Heenan, and yeah, he still hadn't got in our main event. It was, of course, The Undertaker, I'm pretty sure undefeated at this time, versus, well, obviously he probably wasn't undefeated, but he was just put into this gimmick that he would never lose a match. And definitely, you of course know in the main event that he's going to job. Probably wasn't, well, yeah, probably the biggest star power of the night, against someone that I probably don't even know, Damien Demento. He's meant to be sort of a top guy in the WWE. So silly, but Damien Demento, a very evil-like gimmick. Anyway, everyone's cheering for Undertaker, of course. Paul Bearer was there. Also with Yokozuna was Mr. Fuji, but anyway, a lot of star power in this first episode. Paul Bearer alongside Undertaker. It was very cool to see all these people all these famous people on the very first episode of Monday Night Raw. Paul Bearer alongside Undertaker, and yeah, he completely dominates on Damien Demento in about two minutes to end it all, really. Yes, and it was a good finish. Well, it wasn't just anything really out of the ordinary. It was a very bland match, but again, he was just bouncing off the ropes and then throwing Damien Demento down. Damien Demento with no offense, of course. He jumps up into a weird type of tombstone piledriver when sort of the Undertaker wasn't doing it the way he does it now, really. It was sort of from the side. I don't really know how to describe it. You sort of got to watch it yourself, really. I think you can watch this for free, actually, as well. But he does a tombstone piledriver on Damien Demento, ends it all, 1, 2, 3. It was a weird sort of one, but of course he's there with Paul Bearer. One thing to note here was that the commentators were very weird, like they were all just making fun of all the wrestlers. It was kind of funny, but yeah, so they sort of just did that. Another thing to note was the commentators were phoning, I think, pretend Mike Tyson, which is really stupid. Not very funny, but it was just a weird gimmick. No, it was just I guess a bit of comedy for the first episode of Monday Night Raw. I don't know, did the TV network ask them to have more comedy or something? But they definitely squished it in for a 45-minute show with, of course, like breaks that I didn't have to watch or anything. But they had put it in a lot of comedy, probably for the TV network, thinking that they would need to do it. Mike Tyson, fake Mike Tyson. I mean, obviously at this time Mike Tyson was in jail, I think, so they were talking to him. And then during Shawn Michaels match or something like that. Anyway, Bobby Heenan does eventually actually get in, but it's after the show ends. So yeah, that's how we finish. Okay, that was Monday Night Raw. Right. Right. It was, the matches were pretty below standard, except for the tag team match, and that was fun. I definitely guessed that all the matches were pretty fun. The gimmicks were hokey at best, except for, the top guys like Razor Ramon, and Undertaker was awesome, really. So I definitely recommend you watch this Monday Night Raw, because you get a lot of star power in it, and just for the fact that some people that are really famous are on it, and it's the first episode, so it's a history-making episode, really, in itself, in a brand and a Raw that's been such a successful TV show over the years, over the past 22 years, and it's in its 23rd year run, and still going strong as ever. Over the years, of course, it's changed, but it just shows you how WWE has changed over the decades that have defined it. We're now into our third decade, well into our third decade, and it's still going strong, and there's no chance of it being, cancelled or anything, because it's Monday Night Raw, and it's just a staple for wrestling diet in WWF especially. So yeah, that's been it. Below standard matches, but of course, very kind of funny, I guess, some hokey bits. I mean, if you're not into the new generation era, maybe just skip it and just watch some of the pay-per-views if you want to. But I'm going to do these Monday Night Raw reviews because they're funny, pretty entertaining, and go watch them along with me if you want to, comment on them below, or just so you know what I'm talking about, really. Even more interesting, go onto the network, get the free February month, and you can watch them along with me and review them, and comment below what you think of the matches or anything that's happening. Of course, we're on the build at the Royal Rumble 1993. That's going to be very exciting, and great. I give this show a, I don't know, A, B, C, or D. This show gets a C+. It was a good effort for the first show, but I think some of the comedy was too forced. I mean, I know we're going to get a lot of this, but yeah, a C+. Actually, no, a B-. I'll give it a B- because it definitely did try, and yeah, some star power was pretty amazing on this opening episode. B-. We'll see you next time in our second episode of Monday Night Raw, which we're promised to get a steel cage match between, oh my god, two actors. That's so stupid, but anyway, we'll see you next time. Still really entertaining though, guys, so see you next time. Make sure to subscribe, like, favorite, and comment on all these videos. Thank you very much.